Warning: this video contains swearing, and this is not for kids. Viewer discretion is advised. And thank you, Amaya, for making my avatar. Okay, I just watched 4 movies this week, so let's not waste any time and get on with it. The first film I watched is MaXXXine. This is directed by Ty West, and this is the final film of the X trilogy. This film takes place in 1980s Hollywood, as an actress named Maxine who works in the adult industry tries to work in Hollywood, and as the film goes on, something in her past comes back to haunt her. The first one in the series X, that one I really enjoyed, although a bit messy at times when it comes to the story and the characters. The next one in the series Pearl, which was a prequel to X, as this one was the origin story of the villain from the first movie, and this one was a much better film, especially Mia Goth's performance as Pearl. She absolutely nailed that performance. Now with the latest film MaXXXine, I am debating whether or not this is the best in the trilogy. Either way, this movie has some really great aspects to it. First off, when it comes to the movie's production design, they really did a great job of recreating 1980s Hollywood. The cinematography in this movie is excellent. From what I could tell in this movie, a lot of the visual effects were done practically, and it looked amazing. Mia Khalifa's performance is excellent as... Wait, wrong Mia. Mia Goth's performance as Maxine is excellent. Her character is given way more development compared to X. The other actors in the movie do a great job. And some of the characters they play, they have weird and likable personalities that I start to like. The story itself is very engaging, and I loved how the film itself is building on the mystery. And despite me loving Maxine, there was a few issues I had with this movie. Despite the movie itself being well paced and easy to follow, there are certain points in the movie that maybe could have used another minute or so for more development. I mostly felt like this when it comes to Maxine's development. Now, those scenes with her are great, but I felt like she needed a scene where she reflects on something that happened in her past. Something like that would have helped Maxine's character. Despite the performances being great, there was one actor during the third act where his performance was just over the top. And usually I wouldn't mind it, especially for a movie like this. And I won't spoil on who the character is. All I gotta say is, it nearly took me out of the movie. One last thing I want to mention is that during the third act, despite it being really insane, but comparing it to Act 1 and 2, Act 3 was a bit of a letdown. Overall, MaXXXine is a good film to end off the X trilogy and... Hold on. Hello? I see. Okay. Welp, I just found out they're making a 4th movie. There goes everything I just said. Anyway, despite my issues with Act 3, it doesn't affect my overall enjoyment with this movie. With a great cast, bloody and satisfying kills, and a very interesting mystery, I can't wait to see what Ty West and Mia Goth do in the future with the X series. And I'm gonna give MaXXXine a 7 out of 10. Another film I watched is The Secret Art of Human Flight. This stars Grant Rosemere and Paul Razzie, and this is by the filmmaker H.P. Mendes. And personally, I never heard of this director as he made these movies. And I gotta say, this is my favorite movie of 2024 so far. The best plot summary I could give to this movie is a guy named Ben who is grieving after his wife died, and he finds something that could teach him the power to fly by a guru named Mealworm. As you can tell, the themes in this movie is going to be about death and a spiritual journey. What I really liked about the film is how the film presents the themes throughout the characters and visually. Grant's performance in this is incredible, as he portrays this grieving but a weird guy who is trying to cope with his loss. Paul Razzie absolutely stole the show here, as his character is likable, and the more we learn about him, the more we understand him, but at the same time, you know that there's something off about him. Another supporting character is Lucy DeVito as Ben's sister, is great in this as she tries to help Ben with his situation. There is not one single performance that I found bad or wasted potential. One aspect I really like is when we get flashbacks to view the relationship between Ben and his wife. The way it is presented is very unique. The movie isn't all just drama. It has some comedic elements that are really done well, especially with the scenes with Ben and Mealworm. The cinematography is beautifully shot, and probably one of my favorites of the year, as some of these shots won't leave out of my head. The original score is incredible here, and the song at the end of the movie called Fly is very meaningful, and I hope it gets a nomination for Best Song. The ending has a satisfying conclusion, and it leaves some room for interpretation, and I honestly can't wait to see other people's interpretation for this movie. Overall, this is my favorite movie of the year, and we are already halfway through 2024, so there's a possibility that another movie could take the spot. But for now, I highly recommend this movie, and if there's a screening around your area, stop whatever you're doing and go see it. And I'm gonna give this a 10 out of 10. The next film I watched is called Daddio. This stars Dakota Johnson and Sean Penn, and this is the film's directorial debut of Christy Hall. And I gotta say, for a first-time director, it looks great presentation-wise, especially when it comes to the cinematography, and the basic premise is about a woman who gets picked up from the airport. And as the film goes on, her and the taxi driver start talking about relationships and life in general. Dakota Johnson did a great job in this movie, and comparing it to the other movies she's been in, it's a fresh start to see her actually acting for once. Dakota Johnson and Sean Penn have really great chemistry with each other. A lot of the conversations are grounded in reality. Now I would praise the movie highly if it wasn't the fact that, well, this was just boring to watch. Seriously, the film was so goddamn slow. I started to feel tired, and I fell asleep 3 times during the movie. And because of that, some of the more emotional moments were ruined for me because of how f***ing slow it is. And I felt like 10 minutes should have been cut out. Another movie that did the same shit like this was Past Lives, but yet Daddio was more shorter than that movie. But Daddio was so boring, and it went on like a f***ing eternity. Now I do want to say, if you guys want to check this film out, I'm not going to stop you if you want to watch this movie. There are some good things about this movie. As for me, I'll probably give this movie another chance, but that won't be anytime soon. And I'm going to give Daddio a 5 out of 10. After I watched Daddio, I immediately went and watched Thelma. This is another film that has a first-time director and is made by Josh Margolin. And this movie's about an elderly woman named Thelma, played by June Squibb, gets her money taken by a phone scam, and with the help of an old friend named Ben, they do whatever it takes to get her money back, despite them being old. I know these type of films have been done before, but what I really liked about this film is that it doesn't take itself too serious, as the film not only wants to give you a good laugh, but gives you characters that you could like and relate to. June Squibb as Thelma is so likable in this, being this sweet old lady who has some health issues, as you do for being old, but this situation makes her determined to show that she is capable despite her age. And tiny spoiler here that doesn't affect the movie, I just like how she got inspired to do this because of Tom Cruise. Richard Roundtree as Ben does a really good job here, and despite his unfortunate passing, I feel like this movie was a good way to end off his career. As the themes of this movie, it's simple but easy to understand and a bit relatable when considering there'll be a time when you're not going to be as strong as you used to be. And this is also related to Thelma's grandson and his parents in the movie. The grandson was really funny and relatable at times, as he does care about his stuff in life, but isn't perfect like how he forgets about stuff. The comedy in this movie really made me laugh out loud. Some of the jokes had a really nice payoff. This movie isn't exactly perfect, like how there was a scene when they had to get out of a situation, but I wish it was done differently. And there was one scene that was a little bit too dramatic for a film like this, but for the laughs it brings, I can easily recommend this. Originally, I was going to give this movie an 8, but the more I think about this movie, the more I love it. And I'm going to give Thelma a 9 out of 10. That was my review of all these movies. Let me know if any of you seen these movies in the comments. And if you'd like to see more videos like this, please consider subscribing to the channel. I'm Ricky the Kitsune, signing off.